everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Oh my. Hello.
Oh
Rachel
gosh.
Relinquishes
Hi.
finally. Oh gosh. Oh my. Yes, finally. I am as always fashionably late, and it's definitely not my fault. I'm just kidding. It is 100% my fault. Because I was making coffee and doing my makeup. Welcome everyone. Hello again. This is the ALI and Renie World Building Show. We haven't streamed in a while, but we return stronger than ever. Erg. And today we'll be talking. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I realize the title might be a little confusing, but what I mean is I'd like to talk about professional orders and guilds and stuff like that. And I guess we'll give examples from our work and talk about examples from other fantasy work. If you guys haven't seen the show before, we talk about world building and fantasy, and we break down how to build worlds and write fantasy better. So this is what we'll be delving into today. Yeah. Delving, yes. Vocabulary.
You know what's funny about the word delving?
Yes. What?
I can't use it anymore.
Why?
Because I was reading this article that was saying like, oh, these are telltale signs of when people have used AI. And one of them was that it uses the word delve a lot for some reason. So now I'm like super paranoid about using the word delve.
So some motherfucker programmed an AI to overuse a word and now we can't use it.
I mean, you can, but I have like a problem.
I don't want my work to be seen as AI, though I guess I don't write prose, so it's less of a problem for me, right?
Theoretically.
Theoretically. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? All the 1,000,001. Okay, so I've been kind of on and off. There's a whole section of YouTube that's just artists. There's like, you know how there's LawTube and all this other YouTube stuff, PolitiTube? There's ArtTube. There's a whole section, a whole faction of YouTube that's just people who do art, and they have like huge followings. And I'm like, how do I be you? Like, I don't understand. Maybe me streaming about comics and what I've been doing up until now has kind of gotten in the way of that, and I kind of mix up the writing stuff with drawing. But I'm like, how do I get this me wants? But yeah, anyways, there's like drama in ArtTube. You think drama is only relegated to certain types of online communities? No. And the drama in art is people being accused of using AI. And there was like, yeah, and there was like, I think there were some professional comic artists that were accused of that a while ago too. Some DC cover. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm glad I'm drawing traditionally now, and I'm filming it. Like, no one can accuse me of using AI. You're watching me draw my shit. So, bye. Bye. Goodbye. Oh no, Ali.
Bye indeed.
No! What happened, Ali? Whatever shall we do?
What?
Ali has Alex says you've gone blind because your glasses look kind of... That's what it looks like. I was thinking they're kind of vintagey. They're like those vintage
I mean,
whatchamacallit.
They are literally vintage because they were my dad's they were my dad's from the 70s.
Cool. Pretty awesome. George Eggerug says, orders of structure. I thought it would be about Greek columns like Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. No. I am not well versed. That is neither my intended subject of discussion, and I'm also not well versed enough in architecture to talk about that. I don't even know what those...
She likes architecture though.
I do, but I don't know the formal terms. I just like drawing buildings. And yeah, I've never really gotten into Greek and Roman architecture.
Half the time when we were wandering around St. Augustine, she was just like, "Oh, look at a corner of a building and look at up at a window." Like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Just
I love
scurrying
looking
around,
at it.
looking at all
and
the stuff
drawing
that
it.
like no one else was looking at.
Yes. But I don't know no technical terms and shit.
She's like, "What's a balustrade? Sounds contagious."
Yeah, what the fuck is that? I legit don't know. Do I do commissions? Yes, but not right now. I have a lot of work to be caught up on right now. But
She
yeah,
loaded
maybe.
herself up on commissions.
I have way too much work at the moment, and also a comic to draw, which I'm making good progress on, and I'm happy about that.
You have a couple
But yeah.
comics to draw.
Yes, I have a couple. So I have a cover for someone else that I'm working on. I have the book that I'm doing with Ali and Will Perdomo. It's just like a 5-pager, but I do need to get my ass on that and finish drawing that. And of course, Fiendish 3 is coming this summer. I've been working on those pages. If you guys follow me, I've been showing my progress on that. But yes, people have been asking me when is it launching? This summer. And go sign up. fiendishcomic.com. Sign up, please. But yeah. So lots of work. But maybe in a few months I'll take commissions again. All right, and thank you for the links, Alex. Much appreciated. Hail, Chris McWilliams. All right, let's jump into it, I suppose. Let's see. I guess while I'm pulling up this presentation I definitely didn't do in 10 minutes. What?
That's okay. I made a one-page poster. A single page poster, which is
a single page.
Smallest thing that I have done.
Uh-huh. Well, what, you made a poster for this presentation for this show?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool.
So
all
technically
right.
we have 3 slides.
Wonderful. Yeah, mine has 2 slides. I have a slide of bullet points on this is why professional orders are useful, and then I have examples. It is the laziest shit, but that's okay. That's okay. It's okay if I'm lazy, if I admit it, right? But yeah. So, well, I'm pulling that up. Do you have any examples of these orders from your world, from Writing Crown?
My world is a little bit fast and loose in that area. But I have like social classes that I would say count. There's like obviously a whole merchant class, but within that, this is pretty standard for a lot of writing, that there's like guilds within the merchant class. So you'd have like the fisherman's guild and the slave traders guild. That's all pretty standard, happens in a lot of stuff. Actually, got the idea from the only Dragonlance novel that I've ever read. But I don't have a thieves guild or anything. However, when I read the Discworld novels, those have a really fun set of orders and hierarchies. So that's cool.
That's cool. I haven't read those books, but I keep hearing them brought up, so I feel like I really should.
Alex is saying in Dragonlance, the Knights of blah 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 had 3 orders. The Dragonlance book I read, I think it's Dragonlance. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but it is called the Thieves Guild, I think.
Well, I wouldn't know.
It's about a little girl, like, and her dad dies, and it's really sad. And then she's like taken in by her evil aunt, and then her and her friend have to join the Thieves Guild So they like fall several social classes really fast, and they're little girls. They're like 7, and then her aunt hates her, so she sells her like into super illegal slavery. um, without
As
getting
opposed to legal slavery?
like child slavery.
Oh my.
And then like the little girl has that experience, but she gets like, she fills herself with so much anger that she actually kills the crap out of this dude when she's like 11. Just rips his throat out.
Oh.
But the way that they have the guilds in that one gave me the idea to sort of do that. Zaid Raid.
Zaid Raid! Well, hail! Thank you for the raid. Shout out to the Diaz Bros. And welcome. If you're coming over from the Diaz Bros, this is the ALI and Renie show. We talk about world building and writing and all kinds of other cool, nerdy stuff. And we're just getting started, so perfect timing. Today, we're talking about orders and guilds in the sense of like professional orders and stuff like that. I realize it's a bit of a confusing title, but I couldn't think of a better term for it. It's like there is no... It's something I've noticed. I really like a lot of these orders that have been in fantasy, like the Bene Gesserit or like the Maesters of Old Town, which has influenced the shamanic order in Fiendish.
I forgot about Dune.
Yes. Yeah, that I really like that part of the world building. This whole secret cabal controlling the world from behind the scenes, which, you know, is definitely not realistic. That doesn't happen in the real world. No, we should trust everybody who has yeah. Everyone who tells us they should trust us with power. Yes, they're clearly trustworthy. But anyways, yeah, so I really like that, but I don't know if there's a formal term. So this is the best I can do. But that's what we're talking about. So join us. Sit down, get cozy.
Join us.
Join us. Join us.
Let's start a guild of chat riffers, says SB.
That's cool. Chat riffers? Wait, I heard that differently. I don't actually know what that means. But yeah, and if you guys have any questions, there's so we like to be lazy. And so interacting with chat is half of the show. So if you guys have any ideas or questions, this is a free and open discussion. Let us know in chat so we can bounce some ideas around. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Hey, Dago Solo is here. Number one question asker on this show. I'm the exception. Trust me with power. Yeah, me too. Everyone should definitely trust me. I'll do great with power. Definitely
trust no women.
But I can be trusted.
Ready?
Trust.
I've been in a car with you.
Hey, we're still alive. I don't know what the problem is. I only ripped off my car bumper twice while you were in the car with me.
I know. I think I'm bad luck in her car for real.
But hold on. It's only happened when I was in the car with Ali.
I know. That's why I'm saying I think I'm bad luck in her car.
Like I've never. I would park. It's twice when I was parking. I just like park right up against the curb and just rip the front fender, not the bumper, the fender off. It's fucking retarded. But it's only happened when Allie was in the car with me.
Allegedly, both of her handicaps have no effect unless I'm in the car.
Yeah. Trust me, the Asian female driver. Hey, we're still alive.
She just tells you that. She's like, this never happened before, honest. I know.
It's totally never happened, guys.
George says, my problem is I love world building too much and don't get into character and story. That's why you just have to set that aside, like that love of world building. just set it aside and let it happen as you write, like for real. Because if you get stuck too much in the world building, then you'll never ever ever write, unless you want to do like do the next like big RPG. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it depends on what medium you're world building for, because this might not be a bad thing if you're, just like Ali said, if you're making a video game. Video games or tabletop games are a lot more flexible in the sense that you're creating a world for, especially if it's a depends on what kind of game, but if it's a open, more of like a more open world, the definitely if an MMO, but something like Pathfinder or D&D, the player creates a character and they choose their own adventure path. What you want to do as a creator is do as much world building as possible, so the players have multiple adventure paths and as much to explore as possible. But if you're creating a movie or a comic, it's an actual story where the person moving the story forward is the creator. It's not the person engaging in the work, then you want to be more focused. So I would say, because I have the same problem, I got so much into world building that I kind of built character and story last, and I realized I had to rein myself in early on when I was working on Fiendish. But what really helped is telling myself that I can still go crazy with the world building, but the focus, no one's going to really see it unless it's revealed in the story, and your story will be better and more enjoyable if the kind of like if you build from the story path out. So the way I think of it is you have a story path that is your character's adventure path, so to say, right? And so that's this road, and you build alongside that road and everything that supports that story. And you can go, if you, that takes priority. And if you want to go off and build some other stuff that's not seen or not seen as much, honestly, I find that's helpful, because what makes a world come to life is, say, your characters are in an inn or walking down the street and somebody mentions a political event that's happening far away or some other kind of mysterious race that you will never interact with in the story proper, but that can add to the world building and the immersion of your world. So I think I love world building too, but just remember, if it's for a comic or a novel or something like that, the focus is the adventure path of your characters, because that's what your viewers are going to see.
Yeah.
There you go. That was really long, but I like to make that point.
That part of what we're talking about tonight, which is the guilds and stuff, that is going to help give depth and realism and complexity really easily with not a lot of effort. Because you're establishing the facade even of intricate social structures, and that'll be convincing to a reader. Even if you just say like, oh, there's this and this and this, you don't even have to sit there and plan every little detail. You can just say, you can list something even if you wanted to. All that does is it just adds to that complexity. And you can use it later, but I would say don't get too bogged down on it.
Yeah, that's also something that if you find yourself getting into the weeds of world building too much, well, don't be afraid to discard cool things from your story. That's kind of a painful thing to learn, but a great way to think of it and allow yourself to discard cool scenes or world building elements is you can always use it later. And that has happened, at least for me, where I built a really cool character and I wanted them to be part of the party, or I wanted the characters, my main group, to run into them, and then I realized it's completely useless. There's no character progression, or because it's like every scene and interaction, it needs to serve the plot or the world building or the character progression, right? And sure, you can world build by just adding more cool stuff in, but if it doesn't relate to the themes and the plot, it doesn't tie in, then it's just kind of, ooh, I'm just having fun here, but I feel like I'd be wasting time if I did that too much. But allowing yourself to just put it aside and save it for later is really helpful. And I've had ideas come back later in when they fit the story better down the line. Hail Dolores, Ali looks smooth in that hat. Yeah, it's a nice hat.
Yeah, somebody said I needed a hat on so I could look more like Tom Petty, so I did it. This is the only hat I have that is close enough.
Okay. Well, it's a nice hat.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yango Solo wants a drunkard's guild. That's fair. I'm pretty sure that exists.
I think that in Discworld there are guilds like that, but Discworld is like a parody type. Well, not a parody. It's like a satire.
Oh, okay.
So they have all sorts of crazy, weird stuff. Or in the book Lamb by Christopher Moore, they have like a fool's guild.
Oh, like court jester. Is that
yeah. A town idiot guild.
Yeah.
He's got that actually in a couple of his books because he's got it in some other book he wrote that's about like the jester in Macbeth. Like it's written from his point of view.
Okay. That would be a funny comedic fantasy idea.
It is really funny. Christopher Moore is one of the like funniest writers that I've ever read any of. Like I'll read anything he's written because he's just so funny. Even if I'm like, meh, it's still really funny. You gotta read Christopher
No, you're just
guys.
Yeah, that sounds funny. But just not just the idea of a fool's guild though. If you have a fantasy where it's like every random thing has a guild, wouldn't that be funny? Somebody, I don't know, it's like, well, the I can't think of something stupid. It's like the trash collectors guild or some crap. That could be. I'm gonna add that into English now. Watch me.
The Vikings had something like that, where they like basically rap battled. I forget what it's called though. It had a name.
Oh, wasn't it like flight or fleeting? FLYT. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, they did. They had. It was like spoken word poetry. It was like poetry battles, and you would insult each other. Yes, they did have that.
The Viking rap battles.
Great. I love Viking culture. It's great. Dung Collectors Guild was, of course, it was a thing. Of course.
I don't like that.
That does make, yes. I mean, there were like gravediggers guilds and stuff like every profession had.
But like that's necessary, you know. But like, Dung Collectors, can't we just slide that in with something else so that we don't have to say, "Well, I am in the Dung Collectors Guild"?
That was, people needed that kind of work for agriculture back in the day, though. So that was probably an important job. Probably not a particularly respectable job, but it was important.
Ooh, or another really good example of in literature, especially classic literature, of guilds and orders like this is Anthem by Ayn Rand. Feminists and stuff and weirdos and commies, they really hate Ayn Rand, but Anthem is one of the best. What?
No, I'm laughing.
That
weirdos and commies hate Ayn Rand. They would make sense.
Yes. In Anthem, they have a whole system where the people who are in charge, like everyone is appointed what their status is by the people who are in charge. And they are supposed to, like, you're told they take everything into account and put you in the place where you will best fit. And they sort of do that, but they don't look at like a file or something because there's no individuals in this society. Like their names are all a generic positive word and a number. And they just straight up look at them and say like, this is what you're going to do. So the main character he's a big fellow. He's like 6.5 foot tall. And what he really wants is to be in the scientist guild so that he can innovate and bring good to all his fellow people. But what he gets, because he's so big and like, physically imposing, he gets assigned to street sweepers because they know that physically he can handle it. And he's like crushed, and it almost kills his whole entire soul. And that's a good way to introduce conflict also, is if you have this without explicitly being like, he's poor and she's rich, like that. That introduces conflict. Just like you were saying, there's drama between art tubers and stuff right now.
Oh yeah, well there's drama everywhere. Oh my god, is there ever? I guess this is I mean, that's a good point to move on to the next slide. Dun dun dun. What can guilds and orders do for your story? Woo! Here's my baby presentation. No, this is technically the first because I made a title page.
Okay, I was gonna say, if your first slide was just the title, then like
no.
What?
No. So technically there are 3 pages, but I decided to be honest and not include the title page. Okay. Yes, so this is the first page of my wonderful presentation. Guilds and orders can create a sense of realism. They can reveal societal preferences and social structures. And I think, so a sense of realism is kind of what we've been talking about all along. Guilds and orders exist in real life, and historically they have, and even now they have. I don't know if unions really are an equivalent in some ways, but not really.
In some ways, but I think guilds are more empowering than a union. A union has a lot of power over what you get to do.
Right. A union seems to, the way they function nowadays, I think a lot of people, at the inception of the concept, it was well-meaning, but I just hear them telling workers what to do more than doing any good, and you have to pay them, and I don't know. I think we should bring back guilds and apprenticeships. I'm actually really big on apprenticeships being a thing instead of you have to go to university for everything. That's dumb.
I was just going to say that with guilds, you had apprenticeships so that you could take on, your master's work if you had to, and that would alleviate his work. And then you got the benefit of that, of all those years of experience and talent and networking. I know a lot of, there's a really, it's not as famous, but there's a really famous version of the Mona Lisa that was actually painted by one of Da Vinci's apprentices. And I think that it's better, but that's just because you can see the detail in a way that I personally think is more aesthetic. But it's like looking at a different picture of you in like a different filter. It's very strange.
Interesting. I don't think I've seen that one.
So that was a segue, but
yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think
I'll be right back. Keep going.
Okay. The idea that we don't really, someone says plumbers still have apprenticeships. Yeah, a lot of jobs that are not seen as particularly fancy, or the more functional jobs, stuff like plumbers or construction. I mean, I'm sure there are apprenticeships in those lines of work, and those aren't badly paying jobs either. You can get rich being a plumber, but like, it seems like anything that's, how do you put it? Even with art, you would think art as a profession is very well suited to apprenticeships because it's I don't think standardization works very well with teaching art. And I mean, I enjoyed art school, but I think that people would learn more if they had apprenticeships, and because it's such an individual thing, everyone's style is different and there's so many sub industries. So someone could learn way more and save a shit ton of money if they wanted to be a comic artist and just apprenticed for a comic artist or for a studio as opposed to, what we're doing now. But I don't know. I'm going to go off on a tangent about it. But yeah, I think it's kind of strange and very top down. It's a very top down controlled view, top down governance. That's kind of how education is approached nowadays. And I think more guilds and professional orders would be great. But that wouldn't force students to pay a shit ton of money and be in debt for decades. So I suppose that's why things don't function that way. Apprentice, journeyman, and craftsman. Yeah. So I definitely do have apprenticeships and stuff like that in my world. The second point reveals societal preferences and social structure. What I mean by that is what kinds of professions have a formal order. By exploring that, you can intuitively communicate to the reader what's important in this society and what's important in this world, right? So let's say a society that places it is a country that's next to the ocean, and their primary mode of transportation is water. Their most lucrative industry is trade. The merchant class is very strong. So you would probably have a merchant's guild and a sailing guild. And that's the industry that everything around this city or this society revolves around. And you probably wouldn't have some, I don't know, a mountaineering society or something like that in that society. So in that culture. So things like that could really exemplify, intuit what is important to the people that are in your story. And social structure as well. I like playing around with the idea of is a guild or an order really merit-based, or is it, well, the rich people's kids get in and stuff like that, which happens a lot? Is it meritocratic, which often it isn't, so on and so forth? And those nuances are fun to explore, and you can also reveal a lot about social structure that way, by saying, well, yeah, where the sailing guild is for training and advocating the best sailors in this city, and we're totally open to everybody and so on and so forth, but clearly only the wealthiest family's sons get in, and it's not about actual talent, stuff like that, right? Let's see. Alex VRB says, do your guilds take on jobs and distribute them to members for pay and or promotion? So I was going to save talking about my story for later, but I mean, I can tackle this now, because Ellie has left me to the winds. The way the primary order in Fiendish that I focus on in the story, hi Ellie, is the shamanic order.
You'll never guess.
I'll never guess?
Yeah.
Oh, I won't then. What happened?
My kid's snake sneezes. And
it sneezes?
Yeah. And when it sneezes, it wakes her up and it scares her. Even though it's just like a cute little noise. I have it on a video. It's just like,
I didn't know snake sneeze.
It just goes like that.
That is the cutest thing.
Because
That is so...
it's because when those snakes drink water, sometimes they drink it like they put their whole face in the water, and then they get water inside their face holes, and they have to sneeze it out.
Aw, that's so cute. I love snakes. Snakes
So
are
it scared
adorable.
her, and I had to make sure that it was the snake sneezing, which you can tell because her face is covered in water because she's a freaking idiot. So sorry.
Aww. Little snaky snake. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
Glad it was just a snake sneeze.
Yeah.
Alex VRB asked, "Do your guilds take on jobs and distribute them to members for pay and or promotion?" Not the shamanic order. I think I'll save that. I'll explain how the order works later. It's kind of think about the maesters in A Song of Ice and Fire. It's very similar to that, where people who have talent for casting magic in the world of Fiendish, they're taken on as apprentices to the two masters in the shamanic order. And every town and city has a temple that is the center of shamanic practices, and there's like a head shaman, and then you have journeymen under them, and then you have like initiates, apprentices, so on and so forth, and there's like different levels to it. And there's a great deal of variation regionally between the exact levels, but at the end of the day, there's a central control hub for the shamans that's in the city called Malkenka, which the characters will be going to eventually because it's the center of knowledge on the continent and also the center of control over the shamans. So the shamans they're magic casters, but also they're the scholars of the world. So kind of think about maesters, but they have magic as well. And there's definitely an element of they influence the towns and cities that they're in, and they have a lot of soft power in this world. But no, they don't take jobs and distribute them. It's kind of they're like the town doctor or the town spiritual guide, and people just go to them for all their problems, and like the town pays tributes to keep the temple running. That's how it works. Some good questions in chat. I'll star a few and save them for later so I don't go on too long about comic stuff right now. Alex Reese says, "I'll reserve my opinion about snakes." You don't like snakes? Snakes are cute.
Oh, my kid loves snakes.
Snakes are adorable. It's my zodiac sign, which is this year.
Yay! It is this year. I'm a bun.
Yeah. You're a bun?
I'm a bun.
Aw. You're a bun and I'm a snake.
Yay.
Yay.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
Yeah, I know a little bit about what snakes mean, but I don't know. I'm not super into the Chinese astrology stuff. You can find it on the Googles.
That's pretty cool, though. It's your year.
Yeah, my year. Woo!
I would assume that when it's your year, that means like good things for you.
I don't know.
Or influential things, probably, from what you've told me about.
I actually don't know. I got really into this, looking into Chinese astrology for a while, but I've totally forgotten half of the stuff I researched. So okay. I don't know if there's yeah, there's like a whole, well, if it's your year, every 12 years, you just have a really lucky year or something like that. No, I wouldn't. No idea.
I don't know if I would think it would be lucky. I think it would be important things will happen, and then you can make it what they are, just from what you've told me about stuff so far.
Yeah, That sounds more like how Chinese astrology works. It's not just, well, this thing will happen. It's all about you have a higher percentage of beneficial things happening, but your choice matters. Like, you definitely have free will to make things happen or not make things happen. And you can fuck up or not fuck up, but you're just more likely to have a bad day or a good day, blah, blah, blah.
It'll be more, maybe it would be more influential for you, whatever stuff is taking place, whether it be positive or negative.
That'll be good. I hope it's positive. Yeah,
well,
that'll be good.
You're a very hard worker and you're talented, so I would guess, yeah.
I have been working my ass off, guys. You no idea. Like, look at my shorts tab on YouTube. Look at how many damn shorts I've been churning out. I've been
it's difficult because it's intimidating.
What? I mean, it's all I do, and you have like a kid and other responsibilities. Like, I'm trying to just get as much done as I can while I have the time. I'm desperately trying to be established and just get Fiendish 3 out because it's a really good book and I want to launch this summer. So
I'm excited.
I need to like get attention on it. So yeah, that's why I'm working so hard right now. But yeah, hopefully it's a good year. Back my book, everybody. Thanks. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. I guess I kind of already covered this. It can reveal the priorities of a setting. Yeah, while you were away, I was saying how the way a guild or a professional order is structured can reveal societal preferences or the priorities of that culture.
Right.
For example, a culture that's built alongside the ocean, they would have like, and they make most of their money on a trade and sailing, especially, you know, ocean trade. They wouldn't really have a mountaineering guild, but they would have mercantile guilds and sailing, sailors guilds and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could even have oystering guilds and things like that.
Yeah, everything to do with the sea and fishermen's guilds and so on and so forth. And the priorities of a setting, it's kind of, I think I should have differentiated this a little more, but
you'd have Sea Monsters Guild.
The Sea Monsters Guild, that would be fun. So like the first step is, well, because of the setting and because of the political structure or whatever, these are the professions that are prioritized, so these are the things that there are guilds for, right? These are the guilds that exist. And then the next step is, how do the guilds effectively function? Are they truly meritocratic, or is there a lot of nepotism? Are they effective? Is there a secret purpose for a guild that isn't what they present on the surface? All the kind of stuff can add a lot to your world building, and it's fun to play around with. And the next point, guilds and orders can build character as individuals try to navigate pre-existing systems. So if I'm thinking of, in this case, and for this specific point, you know how in a lot of shonen anime, the main character is trying to become the best ninja or become the best wizard or stuff like that.
And there's usually, I'm gonna work my hardest and I'm gonna do my very best no matter what. Even if I fail, I'll still have done the very best. Even if I can't ever do it again, even if I die, I'll still have done the very best.
Yeah. It's hold on, I'm going to stop this for a minute while I change something in the presentation.
There will be a whole episode about how he's like, no, it's too hard. But you know what? Even though it's really hard and everything is going against me, as long as I do my very best, I'll make my sister, mother, grandmother, ancestors, brothers proud. Even if they're never proud of me, I'll still have done my very best. And that's all that matters.
Ali is a shonen protagonist. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
very impressive.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll represent.
Dean has made me watch a lot of shonen anime at this point.
What have you watched?
We watched Yummy Yummy Dungeon Food or something.
Dungeon Meshi.
Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah,
Where,
that's the dungeon food one.
There's this weird guy who for some reason he has this cookbook. He's like a dwarf. He has a cookbook and he's like, I know how to cook all these monsters. Let's kill them and eat them because no one has ever thought of this before.
Well,
Delicious
isn't the setup
dungeon. Yeah. I watched it.
The Japanese.
Yeah.
Japanese is Dungeon Meshi.
Isn't subs. And then we watched,
premise is.
We watched some of JoJo's Big Adventure, which is like some of the gayest shit I've ever seen in my life.
It's supposed to be. JoJo's is supposed to be like flamboyant and stuff.
Is it?
That's the point.
Odin wasn't so sure. Like I don't know. I couldn't.
It wasn't. I don't think it's supposed to be like actually gay. It's just supposed to be flamboyant and.
I couldn't watch it. I was tired. And then we watched one where I don't even. Solo Leveler. We watched that.
Mm-hmm.
And then does Demon Slayer count?
Yeah, Demon Slayer is showing.
In every single episode, that kid is always saying like, "I'm gonna do my best for my sister in the name of my family, even though it hurts me and I'm about to die. I'm still gonna do my best." And it's like, you already said this. It's fine.
Kids love that show, though. Kids love it. They're like, oh, he's so inspirational.
Yeah, and then season 3 comes around, and it's like, oh, I really didn't want to have a talk about child, prostitution in Japan. So I'm gonna skip that one. And then season 4 has a part where they're like, I thought we would bond with our nudity in the hot tub, and I'm just like, what am I watching now? And then like, it's never weird again. What's that about?
It's Japan.
Japan
is weird. Yes, Japan is weird. They do not have our sensibilities. Yes, that's all there is to it. Japan is weird. But yeah, so shonen has a lot of these orders, and basically every major shonen has something like that. So for example, of course, Naruto, the whole society is just ninjas, and the main character, Naruto, wants to be the Hokage, which is the #1 biggest, baddest ninja man, and the whole story is about how he becomes that. And then My Hero Academia, there's #1 superhero, and superheroes in their world, everybody has superpowers, but superheroes are a specific profession. So the story starts with him going to superhero school, and then they're like professional superheroes, and then you climb your ranks to become the #1 and all stuff like all kinds of stuff like that. And then there are professional supervillains as well. So I can go on and on. Bleach, they have the death gods. Most shonen has stuff like that. So and I think that structure is so prevalent because it's a great way for a character's path to be clear. So you understand this is what the story is about. Your character is trying to get to the top of this order. This is their priority. So this is what to expect. And you're watching their trials and tribulations as they climb their way through this order. And one, Renie, you know Japanese as well? No, I don't speak Japanese. I speak like a tiny bit, but I don't speak it. So this one of the reasons I like Full Metal Alchemist is because this concept of a professional guild is kind of turned on its head, in the sense that the main characters, they're alchemists, basically magicians, but it's a diesel punk world, so they're not called magicians, they're called alchemists. And it's kind of a scientific magic system, which also influenced how I built my magic system for Fiendish. Of course, I've talked about this before, but there's an order of alchemists that is run by the state. You can become a state alchemist, which means you're paid by the state, you're sponsored by the state, but you also have to be at the beck and call of the government. And a lot of state alchemists of this past generation were used as human weapons, because they're like they're blasters. They're basically frontline blasters, and they were sent off to this war that the country wanted to fight. They wanted to conquer this land called Ishval. Anyways, they wanted to take over this region and oppress all the minorities there. And so they sent these state alchemists there to just blast away all the locals and fight this war for them. And they're a big reason that the main government won that war. And so that's kind of a trade-off. You get a lot of funding, you get access to all kinds of crazy stuff and crazy knowledge, but you're kind of at the beck and call of the government. You're the government's bitch. And the main characters, they're very young state alchemists, and a huge part of the story is them navigating their way through the state alchemist system. You watch people who have been in the system for longer and gone to war, their traumas, and the story slowly starts to break down how fucked up this whole order really is, and the conspiracies that are beneath what it actually beneath it. It doesn't function in the way that it says it will, which is it's already like you're the government's bitch, right? But there's a whole other layer to it. So yeah, it was really good. It was great, and that's why I like FMA. So there you go. It's a great way for you to kind of ground the direction of your character right from the start.
Hey, Renie.
Yeah?
I have a spelling quiz for you right now.
Did I make a spelling mistake?
Can you spell create?
Of course. C-R-E-A-T-E.
Can you spell attempting?
Attempt A-T-T-E-M. Clearly, I have spelled T-I-N-G. I made this in 10 minutes. Probably less. Allie's very disappointed in me now. Okay. I will correct it before Allie.
Something you say no, says Alex.
I ain't no coward.
But the
I wear my mistakes proudly.
You spelled create correctly like 2 or 3 times.
Because I typed this in like 10 minutes, and I added that last one at the last minute. So there you go.
Oh,
everyone. Yes.
Is that why that says attempting?
Yes.
Good
thing this isn't in one of my books, and I just put together this presentation.
You're typing in an accent.
Yeah.
Attempting.
Let's pretend I'm typing in an accent. This was all intentional, okay? I'm very professional here. I never make mistakes. This was
Let's delve into Allie's 24/7 editing compulsion.
No. She cannot help it. You will not have any typos get past
no moments of peace.
It's kind of impressive. But yes, there you go. I totally meant to spell it that way. It was on purpose.
I'll just never forget, like, when I saw that poster and you were just like, how did you even see that? And I was like, I don't know. My eye was just drawn to the worst thing I've ever seen on a public wall.
She has spell check radar. It's nuts.
Yeah. I'm open for commissions, everyone.
Yes, hire Allie as editor. I am proud to say when I am actually putting my mind to writing something, I tend to not have typos.
Tend.
What? What? Tend. Oh, you said tend. Yes.
Huh?
Allie is just full of spice today. My gosh.
This isn't spicy, Allie. Right.
No, it really isn't.
You will never meet Spicy Allie.
Well, I am glad for that. I am glad for that. Hire Allie as your editor, everyone.
This show is a tend.
Thank you.
Autism versus autism battle. What's Renie's autism?
Making graphs and autistic detail.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure if that's comparable with me just being really good at spotting errors.
Yeah, I don't know if just being really obsessed with one subject constitutes autism, but I have been told certain things I do are a little autism-y, which I don't think is an insult. I think that's great. That just means I'm really good at doing something. It's great. Yeah, I do have a bit of a compulsion for organizing and making sure everything is just right and just ordered and neat. There you go. But not for spell checking.
It's not a bad thing, you guys, because I've found Renie is autism while Ali is autism. That's funny. Editism. No, it's not a bad thing because I've challenged myself, and not to the extent that Renie has, but I've challenged myself and done some of her what do you call it? Some of your autisms. I've done a little bit of it for my stuff, and it has actually been quite helpful, just in an organization sort of way. That makes sense.
You mean you tried to make your writing process more organized because you've seen what I do?
Yeah, like I made that chart of my characters' core beliefs, and then I made a chart of the like magic levels. And I didn't do that for me. I did that more for like readers to get them interested, but it has helped like as a visual.
Cool. Well, I'm glad I was a hopefully positive influence.
Yes, it has been very positive. I don't think
I'm
I'll
glad.
be able
Good.
to go to the lengths that you have with it. Because I just
Believe
get
it or
too
not,
I sit there and I'm like, I should be writing.
yeah.
But you can do all of it, so
you don't seem to need it though. I don't know. You're more of a real writer than me.
You're gonna publish the chart. Are you gonna publish your charts, Renie? I don't think she will, because they're all full of all of the plans for her entire character arcs.
Yeah, I plan on publishing an art book, which will have a lot of world building information in it. It'll kind of be like, well, it's not just an art book. It'll have like sketches of different species from the world of Fiendish, or like different buildings, and then the description and explanation of why I design things a certain way. So there'll be a lot of information there. But the reason I haven't published it yet is because there are spoilers. I need to get through the end of book 4, which is 3 is in the works now. 4 is the next one. So I need to get to the end of that. You guys will see why. And then I'll publish a world building book. And then like as the series progresses, I'll have more, because I'm always doing designs. There's like so much material. Definitely don't have any problems with that. But yeah, I don't think I'll publish the charts.
Someone says you'll reveal your charts after. Alex said, I published my 3 walls of sticky notes. Excuse moi. I have friggin' cards now. Leveling up. Cards.
Wow. Ali's new evolution is cards.
Welcome.
Amazing. Yeah, good. Publish that. Yes, I will. Yep. You guys have an art book / world building book to look forward to.
If she published all her charts, though, it would ruin everything, because her charts are where all her plans for all her characters and storyline is. You don't want her to publish that stuff.
There's some stuff I can definitely publish. It's like I actually don't have the character. It's like, well, I think I have one character arc chart, but I know this might be shocking, but believe it or not, I am not the most charty, organized person I know. I know someone that is even worse than me, and if I were to make even more charts and PDFs and Excel sheets of everything for Fiendish, I just wouldn't get the comic done, right? So I'm at my limits. But
yeah, do you guys want her writing or drawing 1 page a day, or do you want her making fucking charts?
I'm up to 1 page a day. I'm very happy about that. It's great. It's wonderful. It's very productive. Yeah. Yes, I forgot what I was talking about.
Variant cover for Fiendish. I I don't think
I think I
Renie
have
works.
enough variant covers, but thank you.
Have enough covers, but thank you. That's a very polite way of Renie saying Allie's art is not good enough for the cover of Vintage.
I have enough variants. I don't like to do too many variants. I think I have everything lined up, but thank you very much.
Uh-huh. It's okay.
Allie's art has been improving a lot. You did, I like the hardcover, the green one that you did for your own book.
Oh, thank you.
That was really good. Yeah. That was very nice.
That's probably the funniest comic all night.
The what?
Shut up.
Listen, you've been working hard on your art, so one day, who knows? You have specific things that you do draw really well, so just keep working on that.
Yeah, highly, super, retardedly specific, and I don't understand why.
Everyone has, so every artist, I think, has things they naturally excel at. It's kind of like the whole idea that, which is true, that men tend to draw male characters better and women tend to draw female characters better. And some people struggle with certain things.
What's your weak spot? Do you have one?
I think I'm not great at drawing guns. But it's because guns are a whole subject matter, and I'm just not well versed in guns. I haven't studied it, but if I just like look at reference, I can draw it. It's just a complex thing drawn in perspective, right? But some people really specialize in drawing guns and cars and stuff like that, and I don't really specialize in it. I just can do it, which is probably why I have an easier time doing fantasy, because I don't have to do that stuff. But for example,
the difference there is there's just a whole lot I can't do at all.
Yeah, but everyone starts out like that, though. Like, everyone starts out like that, and what you have to do is push through it. Like, I used to not be able to draw. So, most people, a lot of, okay, well then, there's the problem, isn't it? So, for example, a lot of artists don't like drawing backgrounds, but I went through a whole phase where, like, starting out, like a lot of artists, I just drew characters and I didn't like drawing backgrounds. But then I read Tsutomu Nihei's work, he's an amazing mangaka. He was an architect by training who started drawing manga after being an architect. Amazing background work, and that just erased all my fear of drawing backgrounds because I realized how cool they could be. So it's everyone is naturally good at something, but you can expand that. Like I truly believe that's just true for everybody. Yeah, it's all about practice, mindful practice. If you've been watching my shorts, Billy Powermax, hello. Struggle with anything mechanical? Not anything mechanical. No, specific. I like drawing certain types of, so I like, it's very specific. It's kind of weird.
You have some really cool like sci-fi art.
Yeah, I like drawing mechanical things, but it's a very specific type of mechanical stuff. Basically anything that I can just make up, and softer mechanical stuff, kind of like what Shiro does, Masamune Shiro. And I like drawing motorcycles. I don't know why. Motorcycles are not a problem for me at all. Like, cars are not really my thing, but I love drawing bikes. So, like, when I was working on a sci-fi concept years and years ago, and it was like everyone was just in flying bikes because I just like drawing it. So, I don't know. Everyone has different preferences that way.
Hey, Renie?
Yeah?
I have another spelling quiz for you, pop quiz.
Oh my god. I refuse! Just kidding. What's the pop quiz?
How do you spell hierarchy?
I don't know. Is it E? Is it I-E? Okay. Well then.
You have spelled hierarchy, and I don't think that's real.
Okay. Well, for this presentation, it will be hierarchy. This is why I'm not a prose writer and I draw comics. And that's what you're gonna get.
You also said is instead of as.
Can create a predictable sense of progression. We're just gonna move on to this last point and then go to the second slide.
I thought this was the second slide.
No, this is the first one. I said this was the first one. Can create a predictable sense of progression as a character is attempting to climb a hierarchy. I'm just gonna not do a presentation next time because I'm gonna have typos. It's gonna happen.
Then I'm gonna point them out.
Well, we're just not gonna get presentations anymore because I can't do things last minute with it. I'm just kidding. I appreciate you pointing out the typos. It makes me better.
Hierarchy. Ali's position as the queen of hell raising at the Silverchair concert. That's me.
I don't. What? I don't know what that's referencing.
Billy likes to perpetuate the rumor that I spilled water all over the band Silverchair and their equipment.
Oh. Yeah, why would you definitely do that, Ali?
I did it on purpose with a bottle of water that I definitely carry.
Yeah. You're just really mean like that.
I am.
For no reason. Mean.
I hate water and I hate people. And people stuff.
Yep.
Filled with hate.
Your primary weapon is...
I pointed and laughed as I did it, too.
Wow. And I laughed along, because I was definitely also there. And Phil I'm so mean.
Too. Jake laughed, too.
Yeah. Phil was at a Silverchair concert?
Yeah, with us, remember?
Yeah, totally, definitely remember.
He told me to do it.
There. Yeah, that's true. We're going to blame Phil. It is Phil's fault. It is Phil. Everybody go tell Phil that it's his fault.
Yeah.
Everything we've done. Silverchair is going to come for you. All right. Yep. Anyways. Moving on.
Incidentally, they're an Australian band.
Oh, okay. Cool. I don't know them. Renie, I just want to edit. Okay, there you go. That is a better solution. I will just have Ali edit everything I do. There you go. Including our slideshows.
Okay.
Saving us from all her awful music. I don't know this band.
But
yeah, there. My gosh! Can create a predictable sense of progression as a character is having to climb a hierarchy. Right. Okay, I already kind of covered this, but it ties into the second from last point. But it's one of those things where it can help if it can help the reader ground where the story is going if they have a trajectory of, okay, we know that the setup is this, so I will expect the main character to be, the story will follow the character as they're trying to become a better superhero, ninja, demon killer, whatever. That's very useful. But the specific way a character navigates that order also builds and reveals their individual character, their character traits, and so on and so forth. Like, are they obedient? Do they do everything they're supposed to? Or are they the rebel who doesn't do things normally? And then everyone's like, how dare you? But then they actually find new solutions and new ways of doing things that everyone's like, oh my God, blows my mind. So on and so forth.
And the end. Not every guild has to be structured the same way either. The thing that I really liked in the Discworld novels is they have like a policeman's guild, but there's only 3 people in it, or 4, because nobody cares about the police. They have like no power and no one cares. So there's just 4 of them, and the chief does like believe in it, but he's also lazy, and it becomes very apparent within the world what people prioritize and how different people are important. And it also emphasizes that when people don't care what you are contributing to society, you kind of stop caring. even as a whole guild, and they they have a purpose and they have something they're supposed to be doing, but since no one cares, they kind of don't care.
Yeah, true.
So that created a really cool sense of progression, as you're saying, because the whole guild is trying to navigate up in through society and the guild. And that's even though there's just 4 of them, but the fact that there were so few of them is what helped them in the end, because they're the only ones who could do what needed done. Person with no purpose is a dangerous person. Well, Alex, there was a thieves guild, I think, or pickpockets guild or something, but they have it's actually funny. Their robbers guild or whatever they're called, I forget. They had a certain amount of what is it called? They had a certain amount of robberies and stuff that they have to do a month, and that's part of how the economy functions. Is like you get robbed and you do like 10 robberies a month or whatever, and people are just like, okay, here's my stuff. Like,
that's wild.
That's how
strange.
Yeah, that's how they combated crime, is they regulated it.
What a concept. I don't know if that would, that would work, but no. All right, it's like, okay, it's just time to redistribute your wealth, sir.
Yeah, basically, but it's pretty chaotic. The Discworld novels are really funny. Like the social satire is priceless.
Yeah, and you have an opposing gifting guild. I like this idea. Why haven't we had gifting guilds to oppose thieving guilds in fantasy? When you do this,
because nobody would want to be in it because it's not as romantic.
Well, yeah, nobody likes to be good. Everybody wants to be a edgy boy.
Alex says that's just Robin Hood. The original Robin Hood was a fucking psycho. He did not actually steal from the rich to give to the poor. In fact, all he did was be an economic terrorist and multiple murderer. I was reading some of the original stuff because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to make a Robin Hood comic. And I went back to like the original ballads, right? And this is no like Disney character, okay? He freaking just kills like dozens of people and then stacks their bodies in a wall, okay? And then he goes to some village and he buys up all the cows and sells them each for like a penny just to fuck with the economy.
Cool.
And it ruins everything. Like the whole entire town is in chaos and their whole economy crashes. And he just like laughs and runs away. He was not redistributing any wealth. Sorry. That's my Robin Hood rant.
That's a form of redistributing wealth into the ether by ruining everything.
Yeah, into his pockets because he is a terrorist.
Yeah. Don't we love romanticizing? I'm not even going to say that because that's just fucked up. No clipping tonight. Yeah,
we
so
can
there.
Those... Sorry.
It's fine. I guess that's the end of that slide. What can Kills and Orders do for a story? And I just have some examples. So there we go. And then we can talk about our worlds and how we've approached this in our world building.
The poster I made is just like 5 tips. So it's nothing crazy.
Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. The examples I have are, I've already talked about basically all of these, but the maesters from A Song of Ice and Fire, are something that I've covered already, so I won't elaborate. Yes, the Dunedain. Did I spell that wrong?
No.
Cool. Because I just spelled that from memory, so I'm glad I got it right. Because I would be.
I would have left the stream probably.
Yeah, she probably would have. definitely would have. They're like
I would have been like,
a
"Who
ranger.
are you, Renie?"
I know. Yeah, you better spell that right. You call yourself a Tolkien fan. Yeah, they're basically a ranger order, which I find really cool. And I wish they had more of that in. They don't really have that in Pathfinder and D&D or any tabletops that I've played. But a whole, because I love rangers. Do you guys know I love rangers? Ranger is my favorite class.
Although technically, though,
Mm-hmm.
I will say there's supposed to be a thing over the U.
Oh my gosh, I can't type that on the English keyboard.
I don't know how to do it either. I'm just saying.
Yes, technically you are correct. Thank you, Ali.
I'd have to do FN and then that, but it would just. I'm just saying for any, just so no one messes up in the future. Just copy and paste it.
Okay.
Love you.
Thanks, Tolkien, for going fancy schmancy non-English letters for your language.
He pronunciation. He had a fetish. It's fine.
A language fetish, a little bit.
Yeah.
What a weirdo! What a genius weirdo.
Yeah.
Yes. So
who thinks languages are cool? What?
Yeah, I don't know. That's lame. Especially building your own language. What a nerd. What kind of nerds do that? Oh my god. Ugh.
Oh wait,
okay.
that's us.
Shit. We're lame. Whatever shall we do?
It's almost like we have no lives and we just sit around tinkering with lines on paper all day.
What? I have a life. I leave the house, like, to get food.
163. Thank you, Alex.
There you go. Thank you. Now I'll be able to type Dunedain correctly. Never again shall I fail Ali and Tolkien.
You specifically asked. I
brought this upon myself. Everyone, yeah. This is my fault.
Yeah. Why do you make me do this, Renie?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I asked for it.
I'm doing this for your own good.
Yeah.
Why is your you dressed like that? If it doesn't want me.
Good point. And that you deserves to suffer for how it has presented itself.
Oh wait.
It's got dark.
The name changes. These are not the gloves. These are different gloves.
You're very fancy today.
Thank you.
You've got lace gloves. Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm like a chick or something.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so am I? Oh my gosh.
I know. Gross.
What a revelation.
Oh.
No. Okay. The Bene Gesserit from Dune, also the Spacing Guild. There's a few guilds. I don't know if, technically, the way that fantasy works that revolve around competing families and stuff like Dune and Song of Ice and Fire, I feel like they're like these families, they're essentially orders in their own right in a certain way. They're factions, and they don't just include people who are born into the family. It includes all the servants and people who is like the masters of arms and stuff like that, who the Duncan Idahos of these family structures, and they're kind of like guilds. I wouldn't say they're exactly like that, but they are in an order in a certain way, and the loyalty to that order or that structure is also something you can play with if you want to when thinking about structuring your story.
There's also the Mentats.
Yes, the Mentats are in an actual order in Dune. So yeah, there's a lot in Dune, and I think that's really fascinating.
See, I know stuff.
She does. You do know stuff. Yeah, and for example,
I might dislike Dune, but I know some stuff about it, and I think the Mentats are cool partially because of the actor who plays the Mentat in the original Dune movie.
Okay. I like the world building of Dune a lot, and I think that carries the work for me. Just the whole idea of, well, the human computers and all that stuff. They'll mind over everything else. It's great. So I love that Mentats are this whole order of human
It
computers.
is by will alone I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of Sappho that the thoughts require speed. The lips require stains. The stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. That.
Neat.
Is that it?
Yes. Mentats sound like a brand of candy. It kind of does. Well, shit. State Alchemist.
Shut up, the name
Alchemist.
changes. Dune is shit. Sorry, keep going.
It is not, but you have great taste 99% of the time, but it is okay for this 1 point to be incorrect. Dune is great. I get that it's it can be a slow read for certain people, but yeah. Okay, State Alchemists from Full Alchemist. I already covered this, so I'll move on. The Pathfinder Guild from Pathfinder. So in Pathfinder, which is a tabletop role-playing game that I have played for a long time, the game is named after the sort of explorers guild that is spread all across the continent, a little differently from Dungeons and Dragons. Pathfinder is all set in one world, from my understanding, because I haven't played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I've mostly been playing Pathfinder. Pathfinder is one globe, just one planet, but with a lot of different settings on the planet. And while Dungeons and Dragons has like multiple worlds or like there's more variety in setting, but I kind of like that Pathfinder this is the pre-existing world, and so the world builders have created a lot of different societies with different technological levels and different ways of functioning. But the Pathfinder Guild is this group of people that have lodges everywhere. And you don't have to be a Pathfinder to build a character, but it's kind of this thing that permeates the story and a lot of adventure paths, and you run into Pathfinders, or you can and if you get in good with a Pathfinder, you can go to the lodge and get resources and stuff like that. So I find that kind of an interesting thing to include in a game like that, and it's good world building. Is there a guild of cartographers? I'm sure there would be. Yeah, definitely, just like painters and sculptors and stuff like that. And paladin orders and thieves guilds from Dungeons and Dragons, and also every other tabletop role-playing game ever, every pen and paper game. Yeah, paladin orders where you have to keep to certain oaths that are dictated by whichever god the paladins follow, so on and so forth. Those are all interesting world building and character development useful factions that you can put into your story. English hard. Galarian mentioned. Yes. The Pathfinder world is called Galarian.
Oh, okay.
And there you go. Those are the examples I can think of off the top of my head. Do you have any more?
Of examples?
Yeah.
If not just guilds, but also like social orders. I know it's cringe right now, but The Handmaid's Tale is one where it's quite intense and fascistic. It's not what feminists think. I don't think feminists are reading the book, honestly. I think they're just watching the crappy TV show. But they have a social order that pretty much only breaks up the women and not so much the men. So for the men, it's like there are men who are rich enough to be given a station, and they're just like the husbands, basically. And then there are other men who are not rich enough for that, and they are like basic workers. So they're drivers and handymen, guards, stuff like that. But for the women, they have the aunts, and they are there to basically teach all the other women how to behave in their assigned orders. Then there's the handmaids, and their basic function is just bear children. And then there's the Marthas, and they are not able to bear children, so they basically do like household chores like dishes and laundry. And then like there's children, and they're like their own thing. So that is a way that you can kind of create sort of a religious thing. And they're all designated by their clothing. It's super simplistic, and it's not very good, but it is a way to play around with societal orders. Then there's also the book The Giver. They're very the very concept of why is this a thing? Because the chick read a single Bible verse and decided to write a book. In The Giver, which I'm pretty sure you said you like as well.
I do like The Giver, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought of that, and I was like, why didn't I include that? That's a good one.
Yeah, in The Giver, there's a guild that has one person in it until it has two.
Yeah.
But it's only for a little while. Yeah.
Yes.
And then
The Giver
there's
has
no more.
Yep. Spoilers. Well, the way the society functions in The Giver is very guildy, except somebody talked about people being involuntarily put into guilds. Well, The Giver is kind of like that, and I think a lot of dystopian societies technically have that kind of structure where you're assigned a job, and in The Giver, people are assigned a job. Yeah, super communistic, to the point where the people are given these drugs to erase emotions or even color sight. They don't see color, they don't enjoy anything, so they're just purely
anything that could
functional
cause
robots.
Like emotional excitement in any way.
Yeah,
sadness,
not just
or
distress.
joy.
Sadness and joy. So they're not just, oh, I can't feel joy, I'm so distressed, because they can't even feel distress. They can't feel loneliness or love. They're just medicalized to be functional robots, essentially. And you're, after a certain age, you have a coming of age ceremony, and then every young person is assigned a job, and then you have people that are like children birthers as well, and so like families are also assigned. There is no sex. It's just there are young women that are assigned to, which I think it sounds like this is done better than how it was done in Handmaid's Tale, even though it's a similar way. They have kids, and then after years of having kids, they just do hard labor, but they're happy about it because that's just their assigned lot in life, and they can't feel sad about it. And then kids are assigned to families.
Yeah, they make them have 3 kids because there's only a certain amount of people like allowed, because they all reuse names. So they don't even really have an identity, even though they're still reusing names, because the idea is, in The Giver, they have found what they consider to be the optimal society that maintains control while still because actually it's still utilizing the basic things that humans need. So every household is a mom and a dad, and they get 2 kids. And that's it. And they go to school, and they go to a job, and they have playtime, and they have study time, and it's all done to where this is the bare minimum of what a human psychologically needs. But then we have this one dude who takes the brunt of every single emotion throughout time, and then we call on him if we need help.
Yeah, that's what The Giver is. It's basically one guy who's the Bene Gesserit with all the ancestral memories, and not just him, but everybody in society. And he
In the
passes
world
down the
forever.
memories and the whole world. And I don't know, it seems like the way it ended, it seems like clearly there are other societies. It's not really explained, but it was fascinating. It's a young adult book as well, so kids can read it. Not
Yeah.
a really young adult. I read
The
it
only
really
thing I
young.
don't like is there's like a weird bathing scene.
Well, it's like the main character's a teenager, so there's
Yeah.
teenagers can read it. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's basically it's like Orwellian, Huxleyan, top-down ultimate control, but done
Yeah.
in a different way, where it's like the people don't even feel, it's like their emotions are suppressed so much and they're turned into just biological robots. If AI or androids were to build a society, they would think that's ideal. So it's
Yep.
interesting because it's not a long book either. So I would recommend people read it. It's
Yeah,
the
you can
entire
read it in an
it's an
afternoon.
essay. Yeah, it's an essay in why humans need more than just bare functionality. It's really cool.
Then there's also, you said Huxley, which reminded me, obviously we can't not include Brave New World.
Yes.
But then also one that the older people might know, Logan's Run. They have orders to society as well, including one entire guild whose sole function is just they kill people when they run away trying not to die. Yeah, Logan's Run. I have the book.
I haven't read it.
It's I mean, it's pretty old. There's a movie that they made in the 70s that's quite hilarious. That one is basically it's a future in which they've decided that to combat overpopulation, everyone dies when they're 25. And because of that, the societal structures are age based. So from like birth to 5 has a designation of a color, and like these are the normal things they do. But because society has to function still, the people start jobs when they're like 10. And
Oh,
when they're 15, like they do other stuff. So is it 30? I thought it was 25.
chat saying it's 30.
It might be 30 in the book or in the movie. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe I could be wrong. Either way, yeah, they're supposed to just go like when they have this hand crystal thing that tells them every time they turn another, year thingy older. And well, thank you, Alex. And when it hits black, you go die. Like that's what you do. It starts
Cool.
It starts beeping, and then you have 3 days, and then it's black, and you go kill yourself. In like a store that basically helps you do it. And then but if you run away, that the job of this one guild, the Sandmen, is to go and kill you as like before you can run away. But this one Sandman decides he's going to become a runner. And that it's about like, yeah, they have a whole thing. It is a very hippie thing. Awesome one. Exactly. It sounds like it.
It is?
When I talk about it. Yeah. It is different in the movie and the book in a lot of ways. Quite a lot of ways, because they changed things that they couldn't possibly film back then. But yeah, there's a lot of things that utilize hierarchies and social structures.
Yeah, I guess it's guilds and orders are a subset of hierarchies. This is why I didn't include families or political factions, because that's not really the same thing. But hierarchies in general are useful for world building because every society has it, and it makes it more believable as opposed to, well, it's just you have a lot of this kind of shop or this kind of profession, it helps to explore a little deeper than that. It's
Yeah.
offhand mentioned. Whoa, there's a guild of alien robots that hunt people down when they're past a certain age. That's not what's happening in Logan's Run, I know, but
Oh, look what Barb Rogers did.
Anyways. Thank you. Barb Rogers gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Examples. There you go.
Yep. These are just tips on how to do it from me. I usually like to give tips. So basically, the bare minimum tips is what I'm given. Just the tip, even, if you will. I apologize.
You better.
I do. I'm sorry. So yeah.
No,
so basically, but don't get too into this. I wouldn't go crazy. If you're doing this, I would say just do a page on each thing, especially at first, then get right into the writing, because the actual writing of things is when everything will come out, and you won't get bogged down, and you'll get your thing done. So I would say determine the function of your world's guilds, or social classes or factions or whatever first. So do they take the place of traditional rulers, maybe, as the predominant form of government, like in 1984 or The Giver, or even in a different way, Dune? Or does a person's riches or ancestry or supernatural skills determine their social class, like in Fiendish? You can also think about the cultural or historical justifications for these arrangements. Why did this happen? Unless it's important, I wouldn't go super into it. But like in The Handmaid's Tale, there is a historical reason having to do with war and religion why all of this is happening. So that would be my first one, is to explain it. The second one I would say is establish your guidelines and policies. I understand a lot of the times, especially in real life, this stuff gets really complicated, but you don't have to learn like legalese to do this. And I would also say there can be explicit rules, but there can also be implicit rules, unspoken rules. But they're necessary in orders like this. That's kind of why they're called an order. And all social systems have them, no matter what, basically. And so, for example, like an assassin's guild could demand that members demonstrate their commitment or their skill through risky tests, like they do in Discworld. An aristocratic class could have rigorous inheritance laws, like in Dune. Especially, I think in Dune, they even have like you can have multiple wives and shit. Or in medieval stuff like Game of Thrones, where there's bastards. So yeah, define your rules, and that will help define how characters interact, which can help them grow. Maybe they question things, maybe they don't question things, and they should be. All very important. Next one is incorporate power struggles and conflict, because as much as you might love it, and I recently had to come to terms with this with the Rotting Crown, is that no social structure is flawless. I, in my vanity, was kind of trying to make that within my world, but I realized that I was wrong. So I actually had to do a lot of reading up on philosophy. I talked with Renie about it. I had to read Utopia and stuff, and I fixed a problem I had. But yeah, so perhaps your ancient nobility is threatened by a growing merchant class, similar to what happens in mine, or guilds can fight, among each other for territory or dominance. That happens in Dune, kind of. Then also think about the ways that ambition, corruption, rebellion, overregulation, underregulation could all topple or build up all of these structures. I mean, it really is a cheat code to narrative. Next, I would say elucidate the effect on everyday life. I like the letter E a lot. Elucidate.
Elucidate.
Yeah. So your world should be impacted by these social systems on all levels because it will make it more realistic. Our world is impacted by social systems, especially right now. How do common people address nobles? Do they want to address them that way? What privileges are exclusive to guild members? What impact does the socioeconomic class have on access to magic, like in Fiendish? Or employment, like in another good one, Fahrenheit 451. They have that same thing when it comes to different jobs, just like in Anthem. Housing, like in The Giver. All this stuff adds to immersion as well. Or like in that Black Mirror episode where they all live in this weird tower and their only job is to ride these bicycles all day, and that's how they get their money, and they watch like ads. Then next, you have to permit evolution and change, and that's because societies are not stagnant. A stagnant secret society can be cool. Usually they are, relatively. Existing hierarchies or hierarchies, if you're Renie, can be overturned by revolution, technology. Look to real life in that area. The economy, even though that can be a little boring, you can allude to it. Let your social structures change as your narrative changes. Reform, dissolution, the emergence of new power structures, new rulers. They can all be like, that's the basics. In my opinion, that's how. Go ahead and save this.
Yeah, I think those are good tips. Very nice. The end.
Yay. See, I told you, it's the shortest thing I've ever done, but I wanted there to be tips.
No,
Everyone
it's
knows
good
writing
to
entire
have
books
tips
about the banking system of your fantasy world is where the excitement is at, right?
Hey, well, so I think it's helpful for a writer to know what the banking system and tax code is in your world if your story is going to come into contact with that in any way, but you should avoid explaining the whole fucking thing in your story. That is not necessary. Yeah. But you should know what it is. I think it'll show through if you know what you're talking about, but you don't need to over explain things. That's just boring.
Unless You're doing
Unless.
satire. In which case,
well, of course,
if you're doing it satire, over explaining it in a funny way adds to the hilarity.
Sure, yeah. Satire and comedy
can
break every rule.
Yep.
Like those are always
Princess Bride does that a lot.
Yeah. True. True.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you read the book.
No, I didn't read the book.
Well, in the book, there's whole chapters where it's like, this is how the each different country had their royalty talk to each other, and this is what their economy was like. It's really funny. Renie Strakowski, medieval tax accountant.
That's me.
I bet you do have that. Even in comedy, it's still there to create social tension and release. Exactly, Jake.
I don't think I would make a good tax accountant, actually. Or maybe I would. But who knows? All right. I've started a bunch of chats. I guess we can go through those.
All right.
It's time for Q&A, audience discussion, whatever this section of the show is called. Let's go. I'll go way back because I've got a bunch of started chats from forever ago. I thank you everyone for participating and asking questions.
Yes, we love it.
Yes, we do love it. It's a huge part of the show. Now also, this is in reference to when I was talking about Pathfinder. Have you ever played with a heel, someone that only wanted to make the game more difficult for everyone else? So many jokes I can make. No, I don't think anyone I've played with intentionally did that, but some people unintentionally do it. But like,
I've had that happen in D&D as well.
Yeah, it's I think very. I don't know, you'd have to be a really big asshole to come to a game and just intentionally try to ruin it for everybody. But it's like sometimes what a player wants or just how they approach is just, well, it doesn't gel well with what everyone else is doing, or they have certain blind spots that constantly cause problems. But I've never played with somebody that did it on purpose, no.
Oh, someone asked why my room is so bright. It doesn't have to be. Actually, I have a towel above the light because it's too bright. The towel is actually making it less bright.
Wow. I feel like you could just have your light off. Don't you have like a desk light or something? So you can have your face. Yeah, turn off the room light. I don't know, that's what I usually do. I think it looks better on stream that way. Alex says, I love the concept of guilds. I like seeing it explored in games, Elder Scrolls especially.
Is that better?
Oh, now that looks like proper Ali. Yeah, you're just a face floating in the darkness. Very nice. Wonderful. Elder Scrolls, especially in manga comics, but sometimes they fall too deep into tropes or lean on it too hard. Yeah, I can see that happening in manga. I don't know. It's okay, so tropes is something that I've kind of struggled with. Not really, but I have been trying to avoid tropes for the longest time. But then I realized, you know what? The audience really likes tropes. Like just, like easy shortcuts where you have a character design or you have some kind of element in the story where people just understand what you're trying to get to really helps. Like, for example, I did a character design for Phoenix 3. It hasn't been revealed yet, but to me, I'm like, this is kind of generic bad guy, but people love the design. And I realized sometimes you just have to embrace those tropes. And I would be really annoyed with myself if I would just be suffering if I had to create one of those isekai or fantasy anime that are everywhere now, where characters consciously call themselves, I'm cleric class, I'm ranger class, or it's like you clearly just adapted this from your D&D game, and that to me just felt rather unbelievable. But it's like you're just aware of what class you are. It feels like you're playing a game and not an organic real world, but it conveys something easily to the reader so you can kind of get to the character development sometimes. So I think something I've been learning is you can embrace tropes in your writing at certain points because it helps, if that makes sense. Some person says guilds controlled supplies. For example, the Painters Guild was the only place you could get canvas for your painting. I don't know if that's true, but maybe it was. That would be interesting.
I know that
So,
in some places they mention, like in Girl with the Pearl Earring, the only places that you could get certain supplies for painting were at alchemy shops. Not alchemy, apothecaries. That's the word I'm looking for. Apothecaries, because it would be like that's the only place that you can buy sulfur and oyster shells and whatever special goes into certain colors of paint, turquoise. So that's an interesting thing to include.
Definitely. And someone else asked about controlling magic or controlling who enters a guild. The most I've done for Fiendish is the shamanic order. Okay, so the shamanic order in Fiendish, they are basically a order of academics and intelligentsia that think they, by virtue of training and all kinds of historical reasons, they were established by a certain group of people that gave the humans of the continent magic. So the order is very old, and because they were established by this reputable historical thing, and they have built up such a wealth of knowledge, they think they're better than everyone. So they think they can control society, and that's a big part of the story later on in Fiendish. But yeah, they also control the use of magic in the world in a certain way. Very few things are highly controlled because it's a fairly agrarian society in Fiendish, but the one thing that is controlled is knowledge and magic, and that's what I want to attempt to reveal. It's not really in the story yet, but you guys will see. Alex, you're being asked, do your guilds take on jobs and distribute them to members, pay or promotion? I think I answered that. When someone in your world joins a guild, do they take on a debt to that guild? That's an interesting thing. So that's one of the things that are part of the tips that Ali was mentioning. How does a guild function? What does it take to get in? So on and so forth. And I think, yes, in shamans who join a guild, they're basically indebted to work for the shamanic order, right? Because it's in the shamanic order, it's meritocratic in the sense that people with talent, with casting talent, even really poor families, they can, if they have talent, they can be taken into the shamanic order and trained and raised up, and they could be given a good life and a career. But there's a price to pay, of course, and they're indebted to the order and they have to obey and so on and so forth. And that's the that kind of control is the trade-off. Are those who are taking to a guild viewed with a level of reverence? Oh, I wish Ali was here because I don't want to just keep talking about my story. But yeah, the shamans in Fiendish definitely are viewed with reverence because they do have more knowledge. They're like, a lot of people can't even read, so the shamans are more or less, other than the upper class, actual royalty, they're the one class of people that can read, and they kind of control history as well, historical knowledge. Dango Solo asks, thank you for all the questions. My gosh. Are there towns that tolerate the shaman but keep them at a distance, force them to practice on the outskirts of town? I'm sure there are. I actually hadn't really thought about that. But I think if a town did that, that would be a problem with like the order, the central, the central system. So they would either the shaman would be seen as a failure and be switched out, or the town would be punished. So I don't know. I think that would be rare, but it probably does happen. Hyperwizard Jake, hello, asks, so are shamans assigned to villages? Yes. How does a village like Casimir's end up with a thick plant woman? Oh boy. I suppose I have to pull up the page. Oh, I've had this pulled up for a while, so hold on. Let's see. There we go. So, this is my magic system for Fiendish, and I guess long story short, there's all these elemental planes, and each of these elemental planes is one domain of magic. And in Arvos, the way people cast magic is through drawing runes, so it's called rune casting. That's what doing magic is called. They don't call it magic, they call it rune casting. And mind is a universal domain that's just controlling somebody else's aura. But all these other domains, most shamans can cast anything between 1 to 3, but it's limited. It's not like you can learn all 8 or 9 of these. It's not possible. But most people like pick 1 or 2 or 3 of these, and there's your shaman. But what Jake is talking about is, you guys want to see some pages? I saved out a few shamany pages from Fiendish. This is from chapter 2. So there you go. Yeah, there's Ragna. That's rune casting. So Ragna is a junior shaman. She's formally trained. Her part in the story is very much she believes in the shamanic order. She wants to pursue the highest rank possible in the order, and she's extremely talented. She's basically a prodigy, and for ton of backstory reasons, she thinks like this is the good thing to do. It'll not just help out her family, but she thinks the shamanic order does good things. And so we'll find out how that goes. But there you go. More Ragna. People like seeing her, so I'll pull that up. But yeah, Jake is talking about this. Here's a page from chapter 3, and
Sorry.
that's a flashback to Dorvo. No problem. I'm showing some pages from chapter 3 of shamans.
Oh, okay. I had to fix the kids' blankets, and then I forgot I had sunglasses on, so I turned the lights off as I was going down the stairs. And because the chat told me to turn my light off, it was pitch black. And so I almost died.
Oh, no. I'm glad you didn't die. Welcome back.
I'm alive indeed.
Yeah.
My heart is like... Continue. I apologize.
No problem. Good job surviving.
Thank you.
But yeah, so Jake is asking how a bumfuck nowhere town like Dorvo, which is this flashback here, this is Casimir's hometown, how do they end up with a shaman? Well, even a town in the middle of nowhere could be assigned a shaman. But I guess there would be very small settlements. So if you look at the entire continent, I don't have the world map saved up right here, but it's on the website. Anyways, it's a big fucking continent. And if you're far to the north, in the middle of the fucking tundra, there are a lot of settlements that don't have shamans. They're kind of like the hinterland, so they're out of reach of the central power system. But Dorvo is kind of remote, but it's actually not that far from Malkenka. Malkenka is the shamanic center. It's the center of, it's like this big citadel in the middle of the mountains, and it's remote, but it's not that far from Malkenka. So it's just a little hard to get to. But like in the summer when the snows melt, it's, you can clearly get to the town. With just like a couple weeks of travel. So anyways, yeah, Dorvo is probably on the brink, like on the limit of where the central system would have some control. I would say that, but they definitely did have a shaman.
Cool.
Let's see. Da-da-da. Alex VRB says, I like it when orders span across rival nations. I do like that as well. That is interesting concept to
Spy
explore.
Family?
The anime?
Yeah.
Is that what is happening? I only watched the beginning.
There's
like when she went to school.
Oh, there's like two spy factions and they're across like country lines.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't really get to that point. I just want the beginning, and Anya's very cute, but
she is so cute.
Yeah, she's fucking adorable. It's like, this child is real. I want her to be my child. She's so adorable. Thank you, Alex, for posting the website.
You would actually have that child, except your kid would be smart and she's dumb. Dumb as rocks.
Well, that's very complimentary of you, but I don't know. I'll do my best. My kid would probably also be.
Gikazu, that means that Renie hasn't even gotten to the dog yet.
I haven't gotten to the dog, no. I forgot what anime I switched to. I got pulled away by something else. It was probably Free Ren, because I binge watched the entirety of Free Ren, and I need to read the manga because it's so good. Yeah, I think Free Ren won me over. It was either that or was it Mom? No, it was Dr. Stone. Yeah, I binged Dr. Stone, then I binged Free Ren, and then I forgot all about Spy Family. Oh well.
It's surprisingly based.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. That's probably why I like it.
Probably. Nice structure fan layout. Thank you. Let's see. Are they despised by others? Asked Downgo Solo. Chat just skipped, so I lost that comment. But so I'll try not to go on about shamans for too long. But one interesting thing I have in my shamanic system in Fiendish is the death domain is heavily prejudiced against. So there are basically no shamans that are death domain shamans. There isn't a ban on that type of casting, but it is very, very feared, and it's seen as it's bad luck. It'll only bring death. Nothing else good about it can come from this domain. So even people who can practice it don't, or hide their abilities. And it's like, if any shaman had this domain and they were sent to a town, the town would probably reject them, stuff like that. And part of the story is revealing how there's actually a lot of uses, and I have a few death shamans that come in later. But yeah, so that is something that's built into the world building. Also, the lightning domain, it's essentially plasma. So like, it's probably pretty obvious. It's like life and death, and then heat and cold, and then the other domains are the 4 states of matter. So I try to be a little scientific about it. It's not entirely, but a little scientific. And so the lightning domain is just plasma, but on the surface of the Earth, there isn't much plasma. So that domain isn't discriminated against. It's just not well understood because it's hard to experiment with an element that you don't find a lot of on the surface of the planet. But yeah, that's part of my world building. Hopefully that's interesting.
Of course it is.
Oh, I'm glad.
What's next?
I think that's the end of the questions. Let me check.
Oh.
There's a new season of Dr. Stone? What? Did it just come out? Oh my. There goes my productivity. What is your method when creating the appearance of different races? We could do a whole presentation on this, can't we?
Probably.
Yeah, it depends. So it really depends on what the story needs. Oh, I don't have Yomi here. This is all Ragna. Where do I have an image of Yomi? There you go. That's Yomi. So in Fiendish, I have the 3, I should call them species. Because technically they can't interbreed. except Ispoliad are a type of human, so they are the same species as humans. So anyways, Ispoliad are a race of humans. That's what Ragna is, green hair girl. They're essentially a race of human from super long time ago, and they have greater magical abilities. In my world, it's like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. They're different types of human. It's not just humans are one species. They're like subspecies. But anyways, Dev, the Yomi, the girl with the black eyes, she's a different species entirely, but she is humanoid. Like she has a tail, she's got these pointy ears, but also she has like only 4 fingers and claws, and purple skin. And I debated a lot because I have a lot of friends that like monster design, and I like monster design as well, and I went really crazy with designing the demons, but I was on the fence about how far to push it with the dev, because the dev in the world of Fiendish, they're a slave class. All dev basically, unless they are just living in the mountains and they're escaped slaves, they are a slave race, and it's because they don't have any supernatural abilities. In this world, all species like have their own magic system. So humans and Ispoliad, because they're technically one species, they have the shamanic rune casting system I just showed you, but different species would have their own type of magic. We just haven't seen it yet, and they're not as numerous, but we'll run into them. Dev have no supernatural abilities, so they're seen as lesser, and they're kept as slaves. So I was debating if I should push the design further, because they're like, oh, they're purple humans with like tails and dark vision. They're like tieflings basically, and they're in appearance they do look like tieflings, but I decided that the point of their design is I want them to be relatable. I want people to pity their plight, so I made them very human, and that's more relatable for the reader, but with different races in the story. For example, I have one race slash species that is essentially a blood magic species, and they don't have to look anything like humans. They can have just multiple limbs that have different numbers of joints. They can have like, I'm planning on giving them this really gross skin texture, and they're all red. And because the point of their design would be to look different and intimidating, and make the reader feel weirded out, like this is a really different world, right? So I would start from what do I want to convey with that species, and what is their place in the story, and design from that point of view. Hope that helps. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Nice.
People are saying solo leveling is good. Haven't seen that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, there you go.
It gets a little repetitive, but that's kind of all shonen anime to me. So it's like they level up, and then they fight a thing, and then they level up, and then they fight a thing, and then they're like, oh no, I can't do it. Oh yes, I can, as long as I do my best. And then that happens just over and over again.
Yeah, but that's just the thing. It's like tropes that we would find insufferable if we were put it in our own writing. People like reading stuff like that. It's
I'm
like,
not
why
saying
is
there's anything wrong with it.
So popular? Why is Sword Art Online so popular? Why is it works with the audience? So that's just,
I know that's the twist, Alex, but I don't know. It's just okay. I'm more of a Princess Mononoke, Vampire Hunter D kind of person.
Well, I approve of that. I love Princess Mononoke.
Did you see Vampire Hunter D?
Not the 90s one.
Well, Bloodlust is the best one, but I like the animation a lot.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of clips of the animation. I've never watched. No, I haven't watched Vampire Hunter D. What was the Production IG one? I watched. They did Production IG did adaptation. That's not Vampire Hunter D. It was some vampire thing. Girl with pigtails. Can't remember.
The name changes said Vampire Hunter this D.
Well, On that note, I think
Shame.
that's the show. Do you have anything you want to go over? I feel like I kind of just took over talking about Fiendish.
Your world has more of a structure in that way than mine. Mine is pretty basic, where it's just a merchant class and then a very small royal class, very small, and then what's happening with these glasses? And then there's like a middle class that is bigger than the other two. I didn't really do much of the guildy kind of stuff. And honestly, I didn't really think about it. So I think naturally it just doesn't fit in my world very well. But you know, I'm over halfway done. So if it's something that's missing from my story, then that sucks, because I'm gonna have to go back.
It's if it doesn't fit the story, then it's not like, well, you need this. It's like one of those things. Do you need all these historical big royal houses to do a fantasy story? Because that's what people thinking. It's not necessary. Everybody's story is different. Like I made a conscious decision to not do that.
Yeah, the guildy sort of stuff is accomplished through the, like, I think it's through the just basic social hierarchy, where there's one queen and she's her own class, and then there's like a small group of royals and they're their own class, and they function also as the politicians. And then there's the merchant class and the middle class that all kind of deal with each other, part of which is the slave trade. And then there's like the peasantry, who are kind of treated like shit and trampled on, but at least they're not slaves. And then there's the slaves. And it's not just like humanoids that are in those, it's all the sort of magical creatures. So there can be fairy kind that are lords, but also that are peasantry. But they're mostly merchant class because they do the fairies, like Ferries. That's my little joke, fairies. But don't let them hear you call it that. They don't like that.
Very, very bad. They won't
take
that well.
And then the language also separates the classes, because the merchants all have a sort of like verbal shorthand, and then the royals have a highborn accent. So yeah, I've done that. The name changes hasn't followed my progress. You can read free samples on my website, sanguislibris.net, right now.
Wow.
Also, I've got Wildman, which is not related to Rotting Crown, but it's finished and you can buy it right now in hardcover on my Etsy store. Don't buy it off Amazon. I priced it really high on Amazon so that people would buy it on Etsy.
Cool, go do that. Buy Ollie's books. And you can also order my books. They ship right away. I just sent a batch of orders out to RJ from Fiendish Comic. I should pull up our websites. But before that, that name changes said I didn't answer any other questions. I missed it, but I will pull this up. Is an anarchist needed to break down a guild or to upheave the world as we know it? I don't think so, but an anarchist certainly can do that.
It depends on the structure of the world that's already there.
Yeah. So something I'm attempting to do, I won't get into details because spoilers, but part of what I want to do in my story is there's an established sort of elite intelligentsia, basically. And there are people that want to overthrow their control, but they have their own idea of how to control the people and what the social order should be. So the primary people who want to overthrow the established control, they also have the wrong idea. They just want the power for themselves. So that's in very ambiguous terms what's going to be going on in Fiendish, beyond all the demons and stuff. I really wish I could get to it more quickly, but well, fuck my life. But yeah, so you could, I think it's interesting for usually characters who cause upheaval and tear down guilds or orders, they're not necessarily anarchists. They just they have their own ideals and their own way of, I think this is how things should be done, right? But yeah, not just anarchists. There you go. I'm going to pull up our websites. Give me just a second. Round of self promo. Let's go. Woo. Let me close this because that was my presentation. Don't need that anymore.
I love it when the uprising against the bad guys turns out to be way worse. Hey, that happens in Hunger Games, which is a super obvious example of different like factions and societal orders, which is why I didn't do it or mention it. But that happens in Hunger Games where the people who win turn out to be, meet the old boss and meet the new boss, same as the old boss. And so, spoilers, they are taken down. Won none of it.
Very
I haven't
cool.
gotten to the books yet, so would you explore royal families and houses like in A Song of Ice and Fire? It says Seven Alier.
Who are you asking? I guess both of us. Are you going to explore that?
No. No.
I think that's a no from both of us.
Yeah, it's not compelling to me, and it doesn't need to happen. I really only focus on one aristocrat family, and then the queen. So that's what needed to happen in my story. Like, there's no real reason for me to go into all the little details and stuff. Like, it doesn't need to go on in my story.
Yeah, I'm not going to explore that either. I found it more interesting to write a main character and a core cast that weren't really special. I mean, I guess Ragna kind of is special in her heritage. She's an Ispoliad from a long line of really powerful Ispoliad shamans, but beyond that, it's not like she's part of a powerful family. It's just her kind of ethnic group is something that is important to her and is something that historically has held a lot of shamanic power. But Casimir is a normal guy, and I thought it was more interesting to explore, well, this isn't somebody that is from an important family. It's a normal person who has to deal with trauma and then figure out how this trauma happened and go forward. I thought that was more interesting.
There you go. Somebody asked what we're doing for our next show. I don't know. We'll probably decide 2 days before.
Yeah, or 2 hours.
If we decide
before.
Today, we might forget.
I have written down.
Happens.
Yeah, I have been keeping a list of possible show ideas, but and then cool. We always forget to reference it. So, why is it so?
The next show, barring anything weird happening, would be on March 4th.
Cool. Yeah, and it'll be on Ali's channel.
Okay. Yeah, I usually just let whose channel it's going to be on be up to Renie. So.
Yeah. Well, you've been taking the brunt of hosting, so I want to do it today.
Oh man, I have to update that. So I have to update my website. It says that it's available on Fundiverse. It's not. I took it off.
Okay.
currently is, yeah, I gotta update this. I totally forgot. It's out of pre-orders, so you can order it now and get it right now. Or get it sent to you right now, obviously. And that's on my Etsy store. It's a beautiful book. This is the author copy, but
Oh, cool.
it's a
Hold on, let me
really
picture.
nice hardcover book that has a cool old school design and beautiful pages. Smells nice too. Great keepsake. A story of love and a loss and camera work. There we go. You can also currently get my other book that's a kid's book, a kid's drawing prompt book. You can get that on my Etsy as well. That one has little poems that are drawing prompts and then a blank page for your kid to draw. Very cool.
Very cool.
My book, Wild Man, is notorious for scaring adult men, so buy with caution. For real. Will Perdomo had to put it down for 2 weeks because it scared him.
Wow. Buy Ali's books. Have nightmares. Yeah, there you go.
Alex says it's depressing. I don't think it's depressing. It gets dark, but as long as you're not a scaredy cat bitch, you can read it. I dare you. There you go.
Buy Ali's books.
Illustrations in the book. No.
Are you a scary ass bitch? If you're not, you'll buy Ali's book.
If you want to see what I talked about a little bit tonight, Rotting Crown up there. You can read free. You can read free samples and also free previews, I guess, of 3 of the chapters. Currently, I'm gonna add more, and then you can check out the language I made and the magic system and all that stuff over in the Rotting Crown. It has its own thing, but
no, there it is.
There you go.
Cool. There we go.
Hey. That cool cover was done by Dean James. That's the item cover. I am gonna figure out how to get a cover that is more of a. I know usually prose novels don't have different covers, but I thought it would be cool if I had this cover for people who like item covers, and then if I had another cover that was in a more vintage fantasy style, where it's like an action pose that's been painted. So I'm gonna have 2.
Cool. Yeah, it's a very nice cover. Yep.
Thank you.
Beautiful work by Dean.
Dean, do the logo too. No, that was me.
Nice. And you can read previews and features. You don't have the map on here. We do have a map, I'll remind you.
You did make me a map. I didn't know if I could put it up there, though. I didn't know if you wanted it there.
Why can't you put it up? It's a map for your world. Oh my
I thought God. It was, I don't know. I thought maybe it's just a gift that you did, like, for fun.
We can use it. It's a gift that you can use.
I'll put it up. I'll put it up then. Yes, Renie very kindly took time out of her very insanely busy schedule to make me a present of a map. It was very sweet.
I like making nice maps. Cartography is fun. So
I'm in the middle of kind of upheaving my website, but I've got more people, more characters coming soon. Yes, there's the core beliefs. So you can.
Oh.
Yeah, I made that nice. Because you inspired me.
I don't
and it's all connected to their magic levels, which is why it's in different colors.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't have any chart like this, but that's useful. Maybe I'll steal that idea from you and put that on my website.
It was a lot easier for me than doing the whole INTJ thing. It was just their core beliefs being what life is worth living. So like Rowan, who is my psycho, he says the only life worth living is one in which I subject others to my incessant rage. And that's why he's the lowest level of magic, because he has no self-control He's a piece of shit. He does terrible things. Mass murderer, like you name it. He does not care. And that's, you know, his strength and his weakness. And he'll never move out of that. He can't. I have that in the magic part, what it takes to move into the different magic levels. That was another thing that I did for you. He's not a misunderstood hero, Alex. No.
Alex, you can fix him.
Oh, golly, don't even try. He mistreats his lover quite intensely.
Oh, nice.
And doesn't care. Whoa, I didn't go that far.
That was me. I
Just
took it
saying,
too far.
I do not have any qualms writing absolute pieces of trash.
No, she doesn't. She indeed does not. But yeah, go to ALI's website and check all of this out. There are previews, character profiles, a ton of information. So that's sanguislibris.net. Look at him, motherfucker.
And actually, it's so funny. Somebody, I had a beta reader read Rowan's chapter, and it was so funny because they were like, "Oh, it's so good to see representation of the gays in here," and I was like, "Did you read the whole thing? Because he's not gay, and that's not a good representation of anyone. He's actually just a bad person who enjoys hurting people. So please don't think that this is a positive representation of anything."
That is the wrong interpretation. Well,
if you're then they finished the chapter and they were like, "Oh, you were right. I hadn't finished it." I was like, "Yeah, I didn't think so."
Thank you for the link. Now go solo. Everyone check it out. And Barb Rogers. So there you go. And I will pimp my website as well.
Thank you for pimping mine.
Of course. I am always happy to.
Yours is much prettier.
I revamped it recently because
it's gorgeous.
It's required. I need to every 6 months or so. I need to completely overhaul my damn website because I'm obsessed with it. Well, also I'm paying a lot of money for it actually, to keep the store running and have the email service, which I don't use.
Because you have the store and everything.
Now. Yeah, so I mean, I pay like I pay a little bit every month, but it adds up, and I would really appreciate if you went and signed up so you don't miss the Chapter 3 launch that'll be coming out later this year, and you can
help
support the project in that way.
Is it worth it to pay so that you have it all centralized?
I think it is. I like having everything centralized in one service. Just makes my life easy because it's one control panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally because
it's getting pretty stressful for me trying to manage everything. I'm wondering if it might just be worth it to just put it all in one.
I did a count of how many social media platforms and websites I manage concurrently. It's like 8 or 9. Like, I'm not even joking. It's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I have multiple pages on Facebook. Like, I turn my Facebook into a professional profile, and I also have a Hellion Arts page, and I have a Renie Draws page, and I have my own page. So it's all that, but I'm only count that as one. On my YouTube, I still run my DeviantArt. I just opened a Newgrounds. I have an art station. I have my own website. I'm insane. That's enough. I like that for once I can have everything for Fiendish centralized. I use Wix. So the website is done in Wix Designer. The email service is Wix. The store is Wix. I just like having it all there. So it makes my life easier.
Okay.
Name
Changes I have already signed up. Thanks for signing up for Renie stuff.
Yeah, and sign up for Ali stuff. Thank you for your support. I have access passes on my website that I don't mention nearly enough. But
Are we tired?
I'm a little tired. It's about time to wrap up. But it's essentially like Patreon. I have a built-in Patreon service where you can, throw $1 or $2 or $3. I think the tiers are like $1, $5, or $10 for different sneak peeks at the blog every month. So it's like a monthly thing, and I'll throw works in progress up on the blog. So if you want to support a project, that's another way you can do so. And of course, I have the books in the store right here. You can buy the hard copy books here. I have a shop with a bunch of merch as well as the books. Look, wall art and merch. Oh my gosh, so much awesome stuff. Amazing. Look at all that. And it's all good quality stuff. You won't regret getting
and
any
that
of
jacket
these things.
looks damn good, if I do say so myself.
But yeah, it's a great jacket. The leather one. I love that.
Yeah.
I bought like 2 of them. I bought one and then a friend took it. Well, I gifted it to a friend. Because a friend took it. And then I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll have to buy myself another one. But yeah, all really cool stuff. And of course, you can read the comic. I have a preview on the website and a website reader, but you know what I'm going to recommend everyone go do is go to Global Comics right here, where I have all 3 chapters of Fiendish available right now, and you can read it digitally. I've expanded the preview for chapter 1 and 2. So chapter 2, I only had like 5 pages for free. I have a little more now. Chapter 1, half of the book is free. So, I mean, come on. Nothing's stopping you, right? If you haven't read it yet, go to Global Comics, read that first half of chapter 1. You're going to love it. And I think the way this website functions, the way Global Comics works is you pay a fee like $5 or $7 every month, something like that, and then you can read their entire catalog, which is super expansive. They have independent books like mine, but and also Phil, Pear, and Jake Hyperwizard has Carl the Barbarian on there as well. A lot of independent creators, but also DC and Dark Horse and other publishers. Vault has their whole catalog on there. Some much larger publishers have their entire catalogs on the website too. So for a small fee, you'll have an absolute gold mine of comics to read, and you'll never run out of entertainment. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out, and all chapters of Fiendish are currently available there. So there you go. Let's see. I can scroll through this chapter. Yes, mature content warning. It's fine. The first few pages don't have anything. Yeah, I like that. Hold on. Let me change the freaking reading format. They have this panel-to-panel format as well, which is nice too if you're reading on a phone. Yeah, it helps if you're reading on a tablet or a phone. Like you can read the whole page, but honestly, this makes things easier. But yeah, look at all that. That's the beginning of
it. Does make it
like
easier.
An animation. Yep. So I painstakingly cut out all the panels so you can read it in this mode. But yeah, there you go. All right, that's enough of that. Check out Fiendish on Global Comics. And thank you guys very much for joining us for another episode of our show. You guys are the best. We always appreciate you. Thank you for the links in the chat, everybody. Global Comics. I have the link in the description as well. Or you can just go to fiendishcomic.com and the links will be there. Next show will be, what did you say, Ali? March 1st? Over on your channel? 4th. Okay, March 4th over on Ali's channel. We do this show every 2 weeks. In theory, every 2 weeks, and we alternate our channels.
Barring anything weird happening or whatever, we do it every 2 weeks.
Yes, barring anything weird happening, which or real life getting in the way, which is often for us. We try to do it every 2 weeks. And before we leave, I want to tell everybody, be sure to subscribe and hit like all that my YouTuber stuff. But also, I've been making a lot of shorts for YouTube, and I'm super proud of it. The shorts algorithm is great. It's amazing.
Yep.
Actually, let me pull this up as well, because you guys need to see how many freaking shorts I've been making. My gosh, I've been
and
just
shorts are a
churning them
pain in
out.
the ass. So good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I kept on wanting to do it, and once you just get started, the momentum keeps you going. So I just put one out today. I did a week straight, and I'm gonna try doing 2 weeks. I'm kind of testing out the algorithm because it's sort of shorts are something that you have to just keep doing. So the algorithm recognizes that your channel does shorts and they start promoting you more. So I'm hoping to get to that point where I just get promoted for doing shorts. And let me share my screen. There you go. Look at all this. Oh wait, it's not shared yet. Good job, me. Look at this shit. Look. Look. Oh my god, that's a lot of me. Holy shit. I would not be able to deal with that. But I have some older ones as well that so I've experimented with different shorts formats. I did a little series that are introductions to my characters, which I think are great. But they're I guess if people aren't already invested in your project and don't know anything about Fiendish, why would they watch that? Which I totally understand, but those are out there. And if you read Fiendish and you like it, or you want to just like get a feel for the characters, those are there. I also have longer world building videos on my channel, so check it out. I have a playlist. But yeah, this all my current shorts are just me drawing pages, sometimes commissions, covers, so on and so forth. But I talk about my process and I give art tips, which hopefully is something enticing
that background
for
art
viewers.
is really good.
Which one?
Your background environment forest ones.
Oh, this one?
Those are really good because I like you have said, you know, background art is intimidating to a lot of people, and I have that problem where I just tend to kind of do a lot that to hide that I don't know what I'm doing. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I did a series talking about backgrounds. I kind of think about a subject to talk about and then just like jot down notes for several shorts at once. So I talked about doing backgrounds because I did several pages for Fiendish 3 that were just like forest scenes. And I like doing backgrounds, and I think it's what I've been talking about in these shorts is drawing is about mindset, and it helps to realize that it's not just technical skill. So for example, especially if you're doing comics, if you're starting out drawing 20 pages, seems like, oh my god, it's the end of the world. That's so many drawings on every page. How am I going to do it? But if you don't think of it as hard, and if you can find that mindset of complete focus, then it won't take as long, and the work will be easy, and you'll also improve more. Part of practicing the right way is also being in the right mindset and actively training your mental library even when you're not drawing. I talk about all of this stuff. I've discovered that I could talk about making comics forever. So that's what I'm doing here. I can never talk too much about this subject. So yeah,
I
if you
always
want
like
drawing
seeing
tips,
them. They're fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. So if you want to learn more about drawing comics and watch me run my fucking mouth, then, you know, go watch these. Give me a like. Today's is about page turns, a comic making techniques, and so on and so forth. So yeah. All right. I think that's it. Anything else, Ali, before I wrap things up?
Thank you for watching, and we're super pumped to come back and keep going.
Awesome. Gomezli asked if my comic is a Vinland Saga spinoff. No, I love Vinland Saga, but Fiendish is completely different. Of course. Come on. Just check it out. Go to phoenixcomic.com and you'll see how different it is. All right. I shall play the outro now and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. I'll see you on a Creative Block. Creative Block this Thursday, 10 p.m. on Pear's channel. Pear is Narwhal, by the way, for people who don't know. Okay, bye. Bye. Outro.